This season saw a huge overhaul of the Formula 1 regulations, including massive changes to the tyres that all Formula 1 cars use. Now, Formula 1 are making more changes that are going to completely alter how the tyres work and how they're used. Let me be the first to tell you that Pirelli have a massive task on their hands, and if they get it wrong, the repercussions will be monstrous. It isn't just Pirelli that need to make changes though. The teams are going to have to rethink their whole race strategy. What change could be so huge that so much is riding on it? Well, stick around and I'll tell you. To preheat or not preheat? That question has been asked by Formula 1 management for a long time now, and no answer has been reached until now. The sport is being keen to move away from the costly and energy-hungry practice of preheating tyres. There were serious meetings about it last summer, and those meetings have finally come to fruition. From 2024, tyre blankets will be banned from Formula 1, meaning teams won't be able to preheat their tyres before heading out to the grid, when they change them at a pit stop, or when they go for qualifying runs. We will cover why the change is happening shortly, but to understand just how huge a change this is, you need to know why teams preheat their tyres in the first place. Formula 1 tyres are heated because warm tyres get a better grip on the track than cold tyres. Warm rubber has a sticky feeling to it, which cold rubber does not have. You must have felt blue tack when it's been really cold. It's hard and loses all its stretch and stickiness. When you warm it up though, it regains that stickiness and stretch that make it so good for sticking stuff to other stuff. Formula 1 tyres work the same way. Warm tyres help the driver of a Formula 1 car in cornering at faster speeds. A car with cold tyres tends to skid when cornering. Cornering speeds have a big role to play in lap times. The greater the cornering speeds, the less the driver has to decelerate and accelerate after cornering. This helps the driver gain precious fractions of a second throughout the lap. The temperature to which tyres are heated will depend on atmospheric conditions and the track temperature. Tyres are designed to give optimum grip at around 100 degrees centigrade. Teams take a careful look at the atmospheric and track temperatures before determining what temperatures they want the tyres to be at. Drivers often zigzag in the lap before they line up on the racing grid. This is either to warm up the tyres or to keep the tyres warm before the start of the race. Drivers also zigzag when a safety car appears on the track for the same reason. No driver wants to be caught with cold tyres when the race resumes. So now you understand why teams would want to heat tyres in the first place. It is actually a vital part of the performance you see from Formula 1 cars now. Being able to preheat tyres completely changes how qualifying runs, with drivers not having to heat up tyres before going for push laps. In 2024, when the tyre blankets are banned, we may see drivers out on track for the entirety of qualifying, keeping their tyres warm. No one enjoys it when there's no one on track for 4 or 5 minutes every Q3 as they fit new tyres. It also affects pit stop strategy. Being able to exit the pits with tyres that are already up to temperature makes it much easier to defend from behind. If you want to be out of the pits before a car behind you gets round the track at the moment, you can cut it really close. Say the car is 20 seconds behind you, and a pit stop takes 19.5 seconds. Then you're fine to pit, because when you come out, you'll have hot tyres and you'll be able to fend straight away. Coming out of the pits with cold tyres in that same situation, though, will make defending impossible. So yeah, it might not sound like a big deal, but trust us, it is. It's going to be an even bigger deal for Pirelli, who need to throw everything they know about tyre design out the window when making these new tyres. Before we cover that though, why have F1 banned these tyre blankets? Well, Formula 1 teams are allowed to apply heat only to the surface of the tyres before the beginning of a session. Tyres are wrapped in a heating blanket for certain hours before the beginning of the race. The blanket has electric heaters embedded in it. These heaters are uniformly distributed to heat the surface of the tyre evenly. The maximum temperature teams are allowed to heat them to is 70 degrees centigrade, but last year it was as high as 100 degrees. In case you were wondering, that requires an incredible amount of energy, and the blankets themselves are very expensive. About €375,000 a set, according to Franz Tost. The AlphaTauri boss was actually one of the most outspoken against them, saying, "First of all, we spent a hell of a lot of money for these tyre blankets. Second, it's technically very complicated now. It's got a known science. It's not only to heat the tyres, it's to heat the rims, it's to heat the carcass, and it's to heat the surface in the correct way. Every team, 4 or 5 engineers are working for this process. Then there's the sustainability. We need a lot of energy for running this process with the tyre heating. He isn't the only one though. An unnamed team manager from a smaller team is quoted as saying, tongue firmly in cheek, that, in qualifying, the car sometimes waits several minutes at the pit exit to get a good position on the track. The tyres cool down completely and somehow it still works. That sounds like Gunther Steiner's humour to me, but you get the point. It's a huge amount of money and energy for very little gain. Formula One is moving towards a more environmentally friendly and cost-sensible place, with the aim to be completely carbon zero in the future. Removing tyre blankets will reduce costs for all teams, something that makes everyone happy, and reduce the amount of energy used over a weekend, which also makes everyone happy. It might only seem like a small amount, but every little helps, and it's small changes like this that, when added together, will make a huge difference. While Pirelli has yet to start development work in earnest on the 2024 rubber, there has already been gentle progress in that direction, with a reduction in tyre blanket temperature to 70 degrees centigrade from last year's maximum of 100 degrees at the front and 80 degrees at the rear. That was at Pirelli's suggestion in order to create a smooth transition to the tyre warmer ban, which will continue next year with another 20 degrees centigrade drop to 50 degrees maximum for the blankets. It's a sensible move that tackles the big concern about banning tyre blankets, the safety repercussions of the lack of grip during the warm-up phase. It was our request to do that step by step because the tyre warmer ban, is a big change for the construction and the compound. Pirelli head of F1 Mario Isola said, "There is a common idea that we just need to design different compounds and everything is fixed. It's not like that, because with these cars and their performance, we estimate an increase in pressure from cold to hot that could be more than 12 psi, and that makes the footprint completely different. That is a huge change in pressure in a single tyre. If your car's tyre changed pressure by 12 psi while you were driving it, it would go from feeling almost flat to probably exploding due to having too much pressure. Creating a compound that can adapt to that change will be a monumental challenge for Pirelli, and Isola explained why it is such a challenge. You cannot start at a very low pressure because you destroy the tyre in a few corners. You need to start with a pressure that is the minimum acceptable for the tyre, then copy with the period in which the pressure is growing, then stabilizing. But that means we would probably have to start at 20 psi or something like that, and then you go up to more than 30 psi. So it's a completely different situation, and we have to design a new construction in order to make the footprint a lot more stable with a change in pressure. It isn't just the pressure range that will pose a massive problem for Pirelli though, it is the temperature range as well. At the moment, F1 tyres get heated to 70 degrees before it leaves the garage, so they don't have to work well at temperatures much lower than that. From 2024 though, they'll have to work at temperatures all the way down to 10 degrees, maybe even lower on a very bad weekend. Mario Isola went on to explain how much of a challenge that will be as well. It's a matter of designing a new construction and designing new compounds with a much wider working range, because you need grip from 20 to 30 degrees centigrade up to 120 to 130 degrees centigrade, because I imagine they're going to stabilize in terms of temperature to a level that is similar to what we have now. The risk is that if you have to find a compromise, maybe you have to sacrifice the warm-up phase, so that is more difficult, or you have to accept that at a certain point you overheat the tyre. How Pirelli addresses this could possibly be the biggest challenge for a Formula One tyre manufacturer ever. They're being asked to do something that no tyre has ever had to do, and if they get it wrong, the 2024 season could be an absolute shambles. Good luck, Pirelli, don't F it up. Want to know more about what is happening in F1? Then click the video on your screen and I'll see you there.